What's up, Captains? Welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This one is a little bit different, and if you're just listening to this one, I recommend tuning into the YouTube version because we are recording this in the hot tub. We just got out of the ice bath, and I am joined by Almighty Dave and Phil Welch, owner of the Waken Ranch, home of the very first Captain's Lifestyle Immersion, which is what we're going to be talking about on today's episode, as well as the importance of masculinity and brotherhood, especially today. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about this green concoction that I've got. And it looks like this is the, what's that ship from SpongeBob?
The ghost ship?
Yeah, what's that called?
I don't know.
Shit.
It's like 15 years ago I watched it.
Oh, man. If somebody knows the name of that ghost ship, it's not the Black Pearl.
No, that was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's anyways, this reminds me of that, the green here and then the pirate ship here. But anyways, what's in here is Gabalicious. This is a product from Nootopia, the new 100% customizable nootropics. And what that's good for, as the name suggests, is an increase in GABA. So that's what it has in it, GABA, as well as magnesium, vitamin B6, and aniracetam, right? Yeah, so it's really good for just a down regulatory, just kind of calm and present effect. So I'm drinking that right now for the podcast. To get the hookup on Gabalicious and all the other products from Nootopia, head over to nootopia.com/Taylor, and that should automatically apply code Captain Morgan, which will save you 10% on the world's best customized nootropics. Next up, this podcast is brought to you by Ketone IQ, specifically their new shots, which I'm going to give to these guys right now because I know Phil had a rough weekend, which we're going to get into. But check these things out. These are their single serving ketone shots. So Phil, there you go.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Dave, there you go.
And I use these to get through my weekend, and it helps a lot.
It's so crazy that how much of an energy shot this stuff is without like actually having caffeine or anything in there.
Yeah, it literally is rocket fuel for your brain and body. I take a shot in the morning while I'm fasted before I start my workday, and I often combine that with Nootopia, and it literally is rocket fuel for your brain. It just you are
cheers?
on. Yeah, let's all cheers. Open this. Cheers and cheers. Cheers. Down the hatch.
Yeah, I was taking this, like 2 or 3 in the morning after drinking and being up late, and I felt like it helped me sleep better. And I felt amazing when I woke up. Like, I'd wake up at like 7 or 8 still, but I felt amazing waking up after. Yeah, I was just amazed. It was almost an experiment I ran both nights, and it definitely helped.
Yeah, well, remember I interviewed Lat on my podcast.
And that's why I did it. Yeah.
Dr. Lat is the lead researcher of HVMN, and he mentioned to me that they can help with sleep. So, I've been taking these all the time. So these are these new ketone shots, because you can't take the bigger bottle, which is like 10 servings on a plane, for example. Like if you're not checking a bag, you can't take that because it's it's above the arbitrary 3 ounces that planes allow you to take. So these shots are perfect for travel. You can bring them in your gym bag to wherever you go. They're perfect. And this actually tastes better than the full bottle, because this one, it looks like it
tastes slightly
watered down with water. So it's a full shot in here. So 1 full serving, but then they add a little bit of water. So to get the hookup on Ketone IQ, head over to hvmn.com, enter code Captain Morgan 10. That will save you 10% on these liquid ketones, or just click the link in the description. Next up, this podcast is brought to you by Lambs, which is my favorite EMF blocking clothing. Not wearing it right now because I'm in the hot tub, and we don't need it out here in the wilderness because the Waken Ranch, Phil's house, is hardwired with Ethernet cords, which is what we primarily use. Speaking of which, Phil, the Wi-Fi sucks. And we got to do something about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's very little Wi-Fi out here or 5G. But if you live in a big city, highly recommend wearing Lamb's EMF blocking clothing, especially when traveling. I always wear that shirt when traveling, and their beanie as well. I've got their underwear too. So if you're going to a big city where there's lots of 5G towers, lots of EMFs all in one place with people on their cell phones, like we went to the Minnesota State Fair where there's thousands of people, 5G towers everywhere. Definitely a place to wear Lamb's protective clothing. So to get the hookup on Lamb's, use code Captain Morgan at getlambs.com, and they block up to 99% of EMFs. And for each purchase, they give 5 meals to Feeding America. So it's a bonus. You get to protect yourself and help hungry families in need. Next up.
And you stake less because it's made of silver.
Yeah, and I haven't mentioned that on this podcast, but that's actually a really cool feature of Lamb's clothing is that they're made of silver, so it's antimicrobial. So you can wear that shirt like 3 days in a row, and when you're stinky, not wearing aluminum filled deodorant and whatever, and the shirt still smells completely fine because it's made of silver, which is antimicrobial. So that's a really cool aspect of it.
That's for real one of the nice shirts I've felt, like the thickness of it. It's just a sweet material.
That's their new one. Their new ones are super nice. Their old design isn't as great, but the new ones that they came out with are really, really comfortable.
Those are cool.
Like it's a super nice shirt. So yeah, protect yourself, feed hungry families, and smell good. Use code Captain Morgan at getlambs.com. Next up, this podcast is brought to you by Aries, this little device that I'm wearing around my neck right now. They just recently changed the names of all of their products, so I don't know what they call this one now. This used to be the Mini, which I believe is still sold out, but you can still get the ones that are on the back of my phone right now, so I can't show you, but it's a little sticker that you place on the back. And instead of blocking the EMFs like Lambs does, what Aries does is it modulates the chaotic energy and makes it more compatible to the body. So it draws it in and somehow makes it more compatible. I'm having them on the podcast so I can better explain this to you guys, but it's really cool. And it actually works. They have a video of them doing an EEG with the Aries device and without the Aries device, with somebody taking a phone call. And when the person has the Aries device while they're on a phone call, their brain scan is better than their baseline scan, which is incredible. So I feel super protected when I go into like 5G cities or walking through the airports or anywhere when I've got my Aries on me, which is all the time. I wear it around my neck. You recently started wearing one, right, Phil?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been using Dave's, but I've been wanting to order one of those necklaces and they're sold out. And I was going to say, we got a buddy who uses the phone sticker that goes on the back, and he puts it on a coin that he drilled a hole in and made a necklace out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it works the same. It's a little bit smaller. I might just do that as a necklace.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yep.
Right. All right. Now let's get into today's episode. So we are talking about masculinity and the importance of brotherhood, especially with everything going on now. And coming up after the lockdowns, when everybody was just isolated and depressed and just not connecting with anybody, that really, I think, did a role on a lot of men in today's society. They just kind of kept to themselves, and all their problems that they had in relationships or whatever. I think drinking went up a good percent in the lockdown. And especially with men, we feel like we don't have anybody to talk about our problems with. And even if we do have somebody, we don't like to talk about it because it's seen as like weak, or it makes you less of a man if you have to talk about your problems, which is absolutely not the case. This whole concept of being a lone wolf or, self-made man, I think that's all bullshit. Like, nobody gets super successful without the help of anybody else.
No one would survive by himself. Like, no one's gonna be super successful all by themselves. You need other humans to like drive. That's like literally our nature.
Yeah, like me, for example, when in growing the captain's lifestyle, like I got to a point to where I was doing everything and I hated it. And like one person can only do so much, so that's why I recruited the help of both of you guys to help me with this, because it takes a load off.
If you remember our first call, it was probably February. You asked me like maybe what my goal was, and I said for the next year to connect with other people. Like that was my main goal, because I knew, especially being out here in Minnesota, where I'm from, Colorado, and then moving out into the country, I was kind of lonely out here, coming off of COVID and all that too. And I knew I needed to get out of my comfort zone and connect with more people. And that's one reason I connected with Taylor and wanted to work with him. So, and I think it's been a good year for me. I've accomplished that goal in a lot of ways, thanks to Taylor and everything.
You missed the crew call tonight.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your weekend real quick. What happened this weekend?
So I went back to Madison for a 10-year reunion, or it was like a Big Ten championship reunion for the football team. I played football for Wisconsin, and they were doing a reunion for the 2010, 11, and 12 Big Ten champion teams.
Phil was a linebacker, by the way.
I was just a kicker. But man, a lot of these kids I hadn't seen for 10 years, and it was just awesome to connect with them again and see how they've changed and made connections with them again. And, some of the kids I didn't even know are living in Minnesota. I'm going to, hang out after meeting them this past weekend. And it was just a fun time. But man, it was like back in college again. We were out till like 3 a.m. every night. And yeah, I don't drink or party much. That was like the first time I've been out to the bars for many years, so it was good. So I'm kind of coming off that high right now. I just drove 6 hours to get back here.
Now sitting in a hot tub recording a podcast.
Yeah, like probably 3 hours of sleep last night. We got after it. She was kind of funny last night.
Yeah,
you rarely ever see her drunk.
I saw a video of you.
She's a good dancer. She just freestyles. Everyone was digging her at the bar. Like, who is this little girl just dancing up a storm? Everyone still thinks she's in college, even though she's 10 years out.
We should insert the clip of Liz dancing.
Yeah.
in the video. That'll be good.
Yeah, that was funny.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
So tell us some of your hacks that you used this weekend to make the best out of the new environment. Because here, every single light in your house is red. You've got, Ethernet. You've got Wi-Fi mitigation.
Yeah. So normally I'd be wearing blue blockers. This weekend I decided to say fuck it and just. All my blue blocking glasses are broken, so I have them like dangling off one ear. So I was like, screw the blue blocking glasses this weekend. But I think the HVMN ketones helped massively by just like. But another, when you drink, I find that I tend to snore. So I put one of these strips on my nose that opens up my nose, and I tape my mouth. I think that's huge, especially if you drink. Because most people tend to snore, and it lowers their sleep quality on top of the alcohol. So that's just one hack. Also, just not having sugar with my drinks. Tequila. That's all I drank was tequila this weekend.
And you brought light bulbs with you, correct?
Yeah, I guess yeah. But, I was out at the bars and whatnot all night with bad lighting. But you can't control everything. It's like one night of the year where I'll be exposed to artificial light.
That's why I like the Raw Optics blue light blockers, because they look good.
Yeah.
They look like glasses that...
And they're pretty mild. Like, if I wore my red glasses, it'd be a little much.
Yeah.
To, like, socialize. And then I had to stay... You don't want to wear red glasses out at the bar and get sleepy and not talk to people. So it's like, yeah. Just screw it and take the damage with the blue light. Yeah. I'll recover this week.
And you said the ketones helped the morning after?
I drank them before I went to sleep and then when I woke up. And it's doing something to your blood sugar. I can't explain the science, but I I didn't feel hungover at all. I felt great the whole weekend. I wish I almost had more of those because I finished the bottle and didn't have any for this morning. Anything else I did? I don't know. Mental, maybe the mental aspect. I used to like almost mentally fuck myself up by like telling myself like drinking and staying out late was bad. And this time I like changed my language and ideas of just like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, it's 2 nights. I can have some fun, you know? That's it.
Yeah, I used to be like that also, like with my diet and exercise and everything had to be super perfect.
Yeah, you eat something off.
Yeah,
and you like almost like I'm
almost started crying when the wrong salt was on my food.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this table salt?
No, like, and it literally like messes you up mentally when you're like always like super strict and super perfectionismus.
Perfectionismus?
Trying to be super perfect about everything, and then I like went the other route and like fuck everything, and then I didn't felt good as well, and now I have like kind of like a balance where I'm like 80% of the time I'm doing like super good and super clean, and then like 20% of the time it's just whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have gone through that phase where you don't go out and socialize because you're, you know, being so strict on health. And there's definitely benefits to socializing that overcome the negative effects. Like, that's why I think like everyone wants to talk about the negative side effects of drinking, but they're positive side effects if it enhances socializing. And there's a benefit to that. Like, there's massive benefits to socializing and connecting with people.
To an extent.
Yeah,
as long as the people you're connecting with are people you want to connect with.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to ask you is now that you understand all these things about health and wellness and language, especially in the victim mentality, did you find with your old buddies, like, did you notice any soft talk or like victim mentality language or negations or anything like that?
I mean, a lot of the guys I'm with they're winners. I mean, a lot of these guys came from the NFL. Like, they're very successful guys. And no, I wouldn't say I got any of that from any of them. But I remember I taught, some people would ask me what I'm doing. And one of the things I said I'm focused on is like language and helping people with masculinity. And a lot of that, you know, a lot of those guys, you know, resonated with them. And we did get into some of the language, but I think as an athlete, you generally, there's something to just being an athlete and developing that skill to be good with your language and being positive with your language, as opposed to some of my friends who didn't play sports, don't have that as natural.
And not just an athlete, but a professional athlete, because we should go through the, what's it called? Not core language upgrade, which is what we've been going through, but there's another program that they did specifically for athletes, CrossFit athletes, like specifically, but the negative language that people use in the gym, like, and I used to be guilty of this too, because I used it as a motivator. Like when I would do the CrossFit Open workouts, I would like write down on a whiteboard, like, fuck you, you fucking pussy, like, go, you stupid bitch, like, you can go longer. And like, that was my motivator. And I would tell people, like, I literally want you to scream like derogatory names at me, and that would make me push harder. But that's not sustainable.
I guess your typical football coach, they tend to, you know, they'll call you like cum stains, and you know, so like we have,
that's a good one. I didn't hear that one. Even in the Marine Corps, I didn't hear that one.
But the coaches like to put you down for sure. But it being, I didn't have any of that.
And why do you think like all the coaches do it then? Like you say, like all the football coaches pretty much use that language to like push people, right?
Because it can work, but not in the long term. Because if you're always driven by fear or thinking that you're less than or inadequate, that's not going to give you like these, you know, the ultimate drive and results. Now that I've changed my mindset to, you can do this, like, what if you could go 30 more seconds? What if you could run faster right now? What if you could do 5 more push-ups? What if you could hang on to the bar for 30 more seconds?
I mean, it's extremely powerful for coaches too, like to put that mentality in their players or whoever they're coaching. And you can like, it's massive to know this stuff if you're coaching other people. And as a specialist, I think the specialists have been struggling, and talking to some of the old kickers right after me that I hadn't actually ever met. They talk poorly about the special teams coach that's there right now. And I think a lot of that was his language with them, and like how something was going on with them, because they have struggled mentally to perform. And I think it has a lot to do with the special teams coach that's there right now.
Yeah.
And I would love to be in that position to like get in the player's head to help them perform better, because that position specifically is extremely mental.
Yeah, I can imagine. Positive reinforcement, I think, will always beat out negative reinforcement. And that's what we did in the Marine Corps, negative reinforcement, getting yelled at, all these names. You're never good enough no matter what you do. I imagine it was similar in football, especially in practice. And once we can switch, and this translates to everyday life too, people are always beating themselves up. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, like most people never really appreciate the effort that they put in. They think, oh, I've got so much more to do. I've got so much longer to go. I messed this up. I didn't do that right. And we hardly ever focus on the things that we are doing right and our accomplishments. And like, once we start to celebrate our wins and celebrate ourselves and realize that we are capable of more, coming from that place has been profoundly beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And it's not like people will tell you that if you celebrate yourself, you're cocky. And then they say, if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to accomplish anything. And then if you do accomplish something, they say that, you didn't earn it or something. Like,
but
there's some hack. And
people who say that are usually the people who are just jealous or like just don't feel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna get, people are gonna hate on you no matter what. And so instead of hating on yourself as well, fucking celebrate yourself. Like, say, I am a fucking king. I am the fucking captain of my own life. And it's not from a place of cockiness. Now for me, it's from a place of self-love. And now that I understand that, it's not like me above everybody else. It's me, and we're all in the same team. We're all collaborating together. Like, you're the captain of your life. You're the captain of your life. Like, we're not competing, right? We're all competing just against ourselves, becoming the best version of ourselves.
Yep. And
once we can come from that standpoint, as opposed to being driven by ego and, always competing against each other and, oh, is he better than me? Is he better looking than me? No, it's about, am I doing my best?
That's right? One thing. So like, I would go to kicking competitions after college where you're kicking against guys that you're competing against them at like NFL camps or whatnot. And how I went into it was like, if I saw a kid miss, if he made a kick, I was more likely to make the next kick. If he missed it left or right, there was something where you're seeing that happen and it would affect you, but I would root them on just as much as myself. And I felt like it helped me. And the other thing that helped me, I read the book, The Inner Game of Tennis, in college and at the very beginning of my career. And I think that helped me more not be judgmental of myself, because it teaches you to like not judge. In tennis, it equates to a lot of sports, but not judging one hit. Like the inner voice saying like, oh, that sucked. Instead, like shifting the language early of just like, not saying it sucked, but it's like, oh, that, just being like, oh, that went left, that went right. And that never actually labeling it good or bad. And that was like a big part of that book that like really resonated with me. And I think like carried on later into life, but that was like my first introduction to like the power of language and not putting yourself down for like, because it's easy to like, there's people who are really good at golf. You go out with them and they'll hit a really good drive, but they'll still critique themselves and say like, oh, that sucked because it wasn't like perfect. And it's like, man,
yeah,
And it's crazy. You can even get in those people's head where if you're golfing with them, you like that, tell them, oh, that was amazing. And you can change their golf game without them even knowing that you're helping them in a lot of ways. I don't know.
My dad's been general manager at golf clubs for the past 35 years. And he says that one of the best ways to determine somebody's character is to play golf with them.
And see how they react to their hits and see if they start hitting the club on the ground every bad hit and whatnot.
If they hit a bad shot, just start cussing and fuck this, fuck that. Like that's a very clear indication of somebody's character. And then also in one of Robert Kiyosaki's books talking about business, like I think it was his, like before you do business with somebody, like a big business deal, go play golf with them. Just because shit's going to go wrong in business. Yeah. Like as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, like shit goes wrong all the time. And if you play golf with somebody you're going to be business partners with and they can't handle those mistakes, that's the same thing that's going to happen in business. Yeah. Right? It's a very good determinant of somebody's character. Speaking of character and language, this is one of the main reasons why the Captain's Lifestyle crew is so beneficial for people. Hanging around people like us who understand language and who are out of the victim mentality, right? We understand that everything is in our control in our lives. We take ownership of our lives.
What is it? You're the average of your 5 closest friends or the people you hang out with or like listen to on podcasts or whatnot, right? So if you're around positive individuals, they rub off on you.
Yeah. And that's the immersion is just going to take that to another level because it's all good when you're virtual, you get a taste of that for the half hour to hour that we're on the call together. But then you just go back into your daily life and you're surrounded by your friends who don't understand this language game and who are in the victim mentality and blame other people for their problems. And, your wife's nagging at you or whatever. And so when we come here and hang out for 4.5 days and you're just getting bombarded by all of the guest speakers who are very familiar with language, I think at least 3 of them are level 3 Enlifted certified. So they get it, right? They're given their talks on language. I'm level 1 certified, about to go through level 2. You guys understand language. You've gone through the core language upgrade course. So when you're around those types of people, you just feel so much better. Because we feel good. And then because we feel good, it's like our aura, our energy, people just feel good around other people who feel good. Yeah. And who don't make excuses. So the immersion is going to be awesome. So let's talk more about how you guys have utilized Brotherhood or connections in your life. So I know, Dave, you've been calling a bunch of people recently. Talk to me about that decision.
Well, one thing, like when COVID happened or before that, I left Germany pretty much like half a year before COVID and came to the US when it started. So I was instantly in isolation. So I had no one. I didn't know anyone. The people I was surrounded with weren't on the same level I was, or I didn't click with them. And then in the beginning of this year, I noticed that I need to change something. That I cannot be by myself all the time, isolated, lonely. I'm just feeling I'm not thriving at the level I want to be. So I started to go to seminars again, and that's why I also signed up for the Road to Union event and all these kind of seminars and stuff, and started connecting with people again. And I instantly felt like my lights got turned on again. It's I felt really when there are other people around you that understand what you understand, what you value in life, health. For me, it's health, fitness, the mindset and all that stuff. It's you feel just more alive being surrounded by people like that. And it's just, life is way more fun like that instead of being just by yourself, a lone wolf, and have to fight every day to survive the day.
in your words, why do men need a tribe? What are the benefits of having a tribe of like-minded men?
Like from the basic level, it's like to survive. Because like back in the day, like when you were alone as a man, not part of a tribe, you would be killed in a week by like some fucking predator animal. Mm. So like it's like hardwired in our biology and nature to be in a tribe to thrive and survive. So like every time you're like alone and isolated, you're like instantly in survival mode, and you cannot really thrive because you like don't have like the biological mechanism of safety, because like there's no people around you that help you to thrive.
And I think part of the problem now is that we don't need the tribe to survive. Right, we can survive,
but it's still hardwired,
and that's the problem. Is that most men are surviving.
Yeah,
that's it. They're just surviving. They exist barely. They're on autopilot. You know, they go to a 9-to-5 job that they don't like. They're settling for an average relationship. They're stressed out. They're overweight. They're making excuses. They're in survival all the time, and you can't create from a place of survival.
Yeah,
right. It's impossible. It's two different parts of the brain. So that is primarily what is missing today. Is we don't need the tribe to survive. Now we need the tribe to thrive. If you want to thrive and actually be successful as a man, you need to use Tim Ferriss's words, a tribe of mentors. He wrote a book, Tribe of Mentors, on all these amazing people that he's interviewed. So that's why these masterminds and in-person events and seminars are so popular, because you get all of these like-minded men together, not just men, but women too. You get them all together in one place, and it's like, holy shit, this feels so good. I want to do more of this. Every single event that I've been to in the past year, I've been to many, I've wanted to keep that going. It's like, oh shit, this is ending right now. That's what got me to start the Captain's Lifestyle Immersion, because I was like, okay, clearly men need this right now. And we crave this type of in-person connection, and we crave this type of knowledge and experience and just feeling good, connecting as actual brothers. So that was the starting points for the immersion.
And when you look at the people on their deathbed, one of their biggest regrets is not staying in contact with their friends. And on the other hand, when you like study the blue zones, and the people that live the longest are the people, like one of their core values is community. They all have like a tight, close community they trust and feel valued in.
Phil, what has your experience been with a tribe? Like, how have you benefited?
Well, you feed off each other's energy. Being with like-minded people and having in-depth, like, good conversations, like, it's hard. I just found with, like, even old friends where you've kind of split apart, or people that you don't, like, see eye to eye with, or people that aren't present because, you know, sometimes you'll go hang out with people and then they're so locked in the social media or, like, whatever's going on, and you don't actually connect with them. So it's nice to really connect, and you raise dopamine in that way, and you get ideas that you would have never thought of. And there's connecting with other people, I would say they've shown in science one of the worst things for your health is being lonely. And you can be lonely in today's world even when you're around people. And that's a big part of like the addiction maybe in our society. So being connected with other people and having a purpose, you know, there is something to having more of a purpose when you are connecting with other people.
And a collective purpose. That's why, you know, my whole purpose is, you know, hashtag make thriving standard. And, you know, that's what we're going to talk about at the immersion as well. And really everything I do ties back to that. Like, I hate that most people today are just surviving on autopilot. They really don't have any idea what it actually means to thrive and feel good. You know, it's like the person who eats shit food their whole life and, you know, I'm doing just fine. Or the person who gets 6 hours of sleep and I'm doing just fine. It's like, are you? Like, do you actually know what it's like to get 8 hours of quality sleep and eat high quality food?
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're not doing fine. Or yeah, you're doing fine, and that's the problem. You're fine, you're not excellent.
But they don't even know, like, when I like started eating healthy, I didn't even know how good I can feel.
That's what I'm saying.
I always thought, like, I was eating, like, for 1 year, just only pizza, and I thought, like, I feel great.
Yeah.
And then I started eating, like, healthy, and I was like, oh my God, that's how, like, healthy feels like.
Because that becomes your new baseline.
Yeah.
You know, if you're eating junk and sleeping 6 hours, and then everybody else around you is eating junk and sleeping 6 hours and stressed and hates their job, if everybody around you is, you know, doing that same thing and complaining about all the same problems and, oh yeah, I'm super stressed out too, talk to me about why you're pissed off at your wife and all these things, then you think it's normal. And so you say, oh, I'm doing fine, because that's what everybody else around you is doing fine. And then you hang out with people like us, and then you realize, oh, wait, maybe there is something more to this. Like, maybe I can feel this extra level.
The worst would be to be around people stuck in the victim mentality, and then it becomes like a victim mentality circle jerk, because you have nothing else to talk or relate to unless you bring up, like, people can almost make up being a victim just to relate with their friend that's also, you know, blaming all these things for whatever's going on in their life. And it can almost be just like, I don't know what else to talk about. I'm just going to talk about and complain about this or that. I mean, I think girls tend to do that. They would like,
oh yeah,
it's like drama,
gossiping.
It's trauma bonding. It's trauma bonding. Like when, and not just for girls, but anybody, you know, they, you know, for example, you just get out of a relationship, you bond with somebody who also just got out of a relationship, and you talk about everything that the other person did wrong and why you're so depressed. And it's just this cycle of continuation. And it's like, no, like, that's not what you need. What you need is somebody to pull you out from that place, not somebody who keeps you stuck in that place.
Yeah.
Right. So again, this all leads back to the Captain's Lifestyle Crew and the Immersion. This is why this is so important right now, especially today, because as I'm sure you guys are aware, I'm sure everybody can, maybe not everybody, but every man who is slightly in tune with his intuition and who has, you know, a slight sense of what's going on, understands that something is not right in the world. Something is missing. The whole ridiculous politics situation. Like, I interviewed Gary Vee on my podcast, and one of the things that he brought up was politicians argue like they're fucking high schoolers, you know, just bickering back and forth. No conversation actually gets done. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Nobody actually listens to each other. So that's a very clear sign of lack of masculinity. And then you've got all these companies who are solely driven by greed. That's also a lack of masculinity, because if you're in a job or you own the company, even worse, that you know is not good for people or the environment in some way, and you continue doing that thing for the sole purpose of making more money and growing and expanding your business for your own benefit, that is out of integrity with you as a man. If you consciously do something that you know is not of benefit, that is decreasing your character and therefore lowering the vibration of all of humanity. And that's due to lack of masculinity, because men are not driven by desire. Men are driven by purpose. And that's another problem in today's society. I interviewed Anthony Miranda on my podcast, episode 132, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But he said in that episode that men are purposeless. Most men today have no purpose. Like I said, they're just surviving on autopilot without any purpose. They wake up and go to the 9-to-5 job and get the money to pay the bills, to live this, you know, false life that they think is the American dream. You know,
you look forward to come home and after your job play video games or watch TV, and it's like, that's kind of like, yeah, that's purposeless.
And all those men know that something is missing in their lives. Like, you ask them straight up, like, hey, how you doing? They'll say they're fine, they're good, whatever. They know that they're not good. They know that something's missing, that they're capable of more. And they're lying. But you can't lie to yourself. You know that you're not reaching your potential. And you know that something needs to change. And that's why the crew and the immersion is that's why I'm so excited for it, because it already is changing people's lives. And with this in-person event, which I want to talk about before we run out of time, it's going to be phenomenal. Getting all these men together who are driven by purpose. Everybody who's coming to the immersion knows that something is off, and they're actually taking action to fix it, to make it better. That's another problem in today's society is men lack integrity. They know that they need to make a change. All of you listening right now, you know that you should exercise. You know that you should eat well. You know that you should prioritize sleep. You know all these things, yet you make excuses. Oh, I got off track. How do I get back on track? What do you mean, how to get back on track? If you're driving down the wrong way, the freeway, to get to a location, what's your strategy to get back on track? You turn the fucking car around and go the opposite direction. My friend Samuel Johnston said that in a video. So if you're looking for a strategy to get back on track and to incorporate some of these lifestyle habits, stop doing the things that are making you depressed, anxious, fat, whatever, and start doing the things that you already know that you should be doing. That's the hack. And that's why the crew and the immersion are so beneficial, because you get all these people together who are all working towards the same goals that you're doing. And it's like, okay, this person's doing it, I can do it too. And it's like accountability, right? Like, I don't want to let this person down. You can talk to each other and kind of feed off of each other's energy in that way.
If you make some small shifts, you can start attracting things to you too.
Oh yeah.
And attracting people in your life that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise. You know, like if you're single and you come on something like this, or you start hanging out and just changing slight little things, you can attract and really dramatically change your life, even past, being at this immersion.
And I talked about this on my last episode with Mr. Newts. Manifestation is fucking real. Mm-hmm. And how it works is, yes, write down your affirmations, your goals, but really what it comes down to is feeling that way now. If you want to become a different person, if you want to become the higher version of yourself, if you want to become the type of person who, lost 10 pounds, is fucking shredded, eats clean, sleeps well, is super productive and happy, you have to feel the way that person feels now. You have to become that person. You can't wait till you're that person to feel that way. You become that person now. And that's why the affirmations and certain types of meditation and mindfulness help out with that. But yeah, it's absolutely real. And I don't want to get too in depth into that on this podcast, because I want to spend the rest of the time talking about the details of the immersion. So, 3 full days, but from Wednesday through Sunday, so kind of 4.5 days of really an immersion into what it means to live the captain's lifestyle. We're covering basically everything. So Wednesday, people are getting in. It's going to be kind of like a meet and greet type situation. Then we're doing like a grounding and a mobility seminar to help people loosen up after the plane, because as I mentioned, for the ads to this podcast, EMFs are super high in airports. Airline workers are actually classified as radiation workers because the levels are so high. So that it increases the amount of oxidative stress. And one of the best things that you can do once you get off a plane is to ground, to release that oxidative stress and get charged back up with the negative ions that the earth provides. And then to stretch after being on the plane, because you get so stiff after sitting for hours, And then Thursday, we're kicking things off hardcore. Going to be, I'm not going to give too many details away on the podcast, but starting off with ice baths, breath work, movement, and guest speakers are going to give a little talk on language. We're going to have captain's quality breakfast cooked by Chef Phil. All the highest quality ingredients, regeneratively raised eggs, pasture raised bacon, no added sugar bullshit, grass-fed butter, raw milk, sausage, the works. So speaking of which, all meals are going to be included for the immersion. So you've got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and drinks, all inclusive, all the highest quality stuff. If I wouldn't eat it, it's not going to be available. So the theme for Thursday, really the first day of the immersion, is to overcome self-limiting beliefs and to embrace challenge. Because again, this is one of the things that I believe is drastically missing in today's society is men have never really gone through a rite of passage, right? Like in America, when do you become a man? Like there's no set thing when you become a man. Like 16 when you get your license. That's not really challenging. 18, what? There's no set rite of passage, you know? Yeah. And because of that, I think that's made a lot of entitled men who are just soft, who have never really embraced an actual challenge in their life. And that's why, you know, these soy boys complain about the barista at Starbucks put in actual milk instead of soy milk in their latte, and they fucking complain about that.
On that note, being in the campus around college students, I could not believe it was so strange being around. Like everyone who I was with was just like, we'd go to the bars and we'd be like, who are like these guys are all soy boys. Yeah, like we went through I just haven't been around kids in their like 20s for a long time, that young. And then all the girls were wearing like, you know, they're wearing like they're from the 90s stuff. But the boys, I mean, it was just weird. It was just very different from what I was used to.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. And the academic advisor he's like, you cannot believe how many of these kids have met, like, there's mental illness and depression just running rampant through the athletes. And that's like that's the athletes. I can't imagine the general, like, regular student, because the athletes are, you know, a little bit, they socialize more on their fit and stuff. So.
And depression and anxiety are made up things. Mm-hmm. They exist in your head. And I'll probably get a lot of flack for that, but so be it. That's truly what I believe, is it's all in your head, and we don't have to go down the rabbit hole of that. But I believe that's in large part due to this lack of challenge. You know, in America today, you live a better life than, you know, you have the ability to live a better life than any other time period in history, right? We have everything that we could possibly want at the fucking push of a button on this little rectangle that we've got in our hands right here. Yeah. You can have everything. So why are we so depressed and anxious?
That's the problem.
We can have, yes, that's the problem, is that we don't do it in moderation. We just constantly consume, seeking pleasure and instant gratification. And there's no challenge to anything.
Yeah, I think that's a problem because we don't have any challenges in life anymore. Everything is so comfortable and easy that we're like, no wonder everybody gets depressed.
Yep. And so, again, that's back to what I was saying, that there's no rite of passage. So that's the Captain's Lifestyle Immersion is going to act as a rite of passage. And we are going to do challenging things, really challenging things for a lot of people. So that's the whole theme of the first day, is overcoming self-limiting beliefs through language. The guest speakers are going to do a fantastic job of that. By the way, the guest speakers are Chase Tollison and Dave Robinson. They are giving talk on language and overcoming self-limiting beliefs. And then we've got Brooks Meadows. All three of those guys, I believe, are level 3 and lifted certified, which is, you know, this language game that we're talking about. And then Leo Savage is the other guest speaker. He's the founder of the Mace, Steel Mace Flow certification. He is a savage. And he's going to be teaching us steel mace work, breath work, movement, meditation. It's going to be amazing.
That'll be sweet.
It's going to be so cool.
I've been wanting to learn that a long time. I've been putting that off.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's coming.
You're going to get it. Full force. And then Friday, the goal of Friday is, after we overcome self-limiting beliefs and embrace challenges on Thursday, Friday is going to be about celebrating our wins. Because as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you know, as men, we tend to focus on the things that we're doing wrong, or the things that we're not doing enough of, or not doing right, or, you know, we're not adequate here. So we're going to take time to really celebrate ourselves and celebrate what we're capable of, how far we've come, and any wins that we have to celebrate. Again, that's going to be a talk with the guest speakers, and more ice baths, more saunas, more breath work, more workouts, more food. And Friday after dinner, we're fasting. So Friday dinner to Saturday dinner is going to be a 24-hour fast, which is another challenge that a lot of people have not yet embraced. We're constantly feeding our face, just stuffing it full of whatever we want. That's a problem, right? That's just comfort. So we're going to challenge ourselves that way. Luckily, we will be fueled by ketones. They are a sponsor of the Immersion. So these will be flowing freely on Saturday during the day to help curb some of those cravings.
Some people are worried about that. That'll be your best feeling day. Yeah, you'll feel great.
These fucking mosquitoes. 24-hour fast is really not that hard. You go from dinner to dinner. Plus, the whole day is going to be filled with activities.
Yeah, you'll be the mentally.
And you got the ketones.
You'll be mentally.
And we got the ketones. Yeah. And the feeling of breath work and hot-cold contrast when you're fasted is superior to anything else.
Oh, dude, the breath work we're going to do, I mean, that in itself, yeah.
Yeah. And then the hot-cold contrast going from the sauna to the cold tub, especially using the poppy stick, which you guys will learn the poppy technique at the Captain's Lifestyle Immersion, is game changer, especially while fasted. So yeah, that's going to be Saturday. Again, more movements, more meditation, giving talks on EMFs, and you are, Phil, giving talk on EMF and light exposure.
And a lot of this, we're trying to I almost want to make it feel like a camping trip, and that's when a lot of people feel that they're best. But we'll be at my house, but we'll be having campfires every night, camping outside. And I think that's going to be a big part of, the energy of really making this special.
Yep. So lodging is included in your ticket. We're going to be glamping. So camping outside in tents with access to the house, when we want it. Big bonfires, roasting stuff on the fire for food, doing masterminds around the fires, talking, hanging out. Then Saturday night, after a big celebratory feast, which, by the way, Saturday's theme is going to be goal setting. So Thursday, overcome self-limiting beliefs, embrace challenges. Friday, celebrate wins. Saturday is set goals. So then you can come away from the weekend starting Monday morning fresh, ready to tackle a productive week and productive month, productive year, productive life, right? So, once we break our fast on Saturday, it's going to be a feast and then party. Brooks Meadows is giving one of the best stories I've ever heard. And I'm grateful that I get to hear this story again, because I imagine it just gets better every single time. He is one of the best storytellers, period. And this story is it's motivating, it's inspirational, and it's fucking hilarious. There will be substances flowing, not required. If you would like,
we'll read the vibes. We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I will be on substance. Not required at all. But it'll be a lot of fun. Brooks is a great storyteller, like I said, especially after the feast. And then we're just going to hang out and form Brotherhood Saturday to celebrate our tough weekend, because it will be a challenging weekend. We're going to do tough workouts, ice baths. We're going to push the limits there, breath work. The stories, actually, I don't want to scare you guys, but the story work that we're going to do is typically the most difficult for people. A lot of men have the ability to push themselves physically, but a lot of them have difficulty expressing their feelings and letting their emotions show, which, by the way, whatever emotions come up, we're ready for it, right? Me and the guest speakers, we've heard a lot, and we're here to support you guys through whatever's going on. If you want to fucking scream and cry, go for it. I woke up this morning and did the soy boy alarm. Wake up, soy boys! Just scream because we've got, it's woods out here, so it's okay.
And I was sleeping in.
Yeah, I woke up Dave. Yeah, to watch the sunrise. Dave was being a soy boy this morning. Sleepy boy. So yeah, Saturday is gonna be super fun, and then Sunday, sleep in. We will be sleeping in because I imagine we'll be staying up a little bit later Saturday night. So Sunday, wake up, give a little talk on integration, how to integrate a lot of the things that you've learned back into your lifestyle, right? Like how can I incorporate all of this into my daily habits? So give a talk on that, do some bulletproof coffee, and then get ready for flights. You're welcome to do sauna, ice bath again, and movement. But yeah, so get your flights for Wednesday, arriving in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then leaving Sunday out of Minneapolis as well. So yeah, what's covered in the ticket? Like I mentioned, all food, all snacks, a swag bag for my sponsors, including HVMN. You'll get a full bottle of their ketones. What else is included? Lodging. Like I said, we're camping, so that's all included. If you have a tent, bring it. If you don't, totally fine. We can supply that. What else? Yeah, transportation to and from the airport is covered. So really, the only thing you have to pay for is the ticket and your flight. And that's it.
Probably the cheapest something like this you would ever be able to.
For real, it is the fucking cheapest. I'm not making any money on this.
Anything similar is probably at least $1,500.
Yeah. Next year, I'm at least doubling the prices. And I'm thinking about like...
Dude, I know groups in Austin that like, you have to pay $5,000 to do shit like that. To go on a weekend with like-minded people.
Well, I'm thinking about charging even more. I'm thinking about charging $8,000 to $10,000. And then with that, you get the immersion, and you also get the Captain's Lifestyle program. And the program will be kind of like a prerequisite lead up to attend the immersion. It's like once you go through the 3-month program, it's like, okay, you're mentally, physically ready to attend the immersion.
I think it would be even make sense to put the immersion on the start, because we were talking about, it's easier said than done. Like, you're depressed, eat healthy. Everybody knows to eat healthy and exercise. So why don't we get it done? Because it's like always we have this big image in our head that we have to achieve to be healthy. So we're like instantly not motivated at all to do it. And when we have the immersion, it kind of like brings the stone, like gets the stone rolling. So like the first little push in the right direction, it helps you to stay committed to the journey.
In the middle, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just.
Yeah.
But don't put it off if you think you're gonna come to the next one. I mean, going to the first one will be the best.
100%. The lineup of guest speakers alone is worth the price of admission. And it's stupid low price point. Only $555 for non-members of the Captain's Lifestyle program. And we've only got, at the time of recording, like 10 spots available. So if you would like to apply to attend the immersion, number one, hit me up on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, send me an email at taylor@thecaptainslifestyle.com. If you do have Instagram, that's where I recommend you reach out to me. It's Captain_Taylor_Morgan. Send me your email address. And then number two, and most importantly, send me a video of yourself introducing who you are, why you want to attend the immersion, and what you're looking to get out of it. And then once I have the video and your email, I may send you an email with more information, or I may just reject you because not everybody is a good fit for the immersion, right? We're talking about brotherhood here. Everybody's got to fit the vibe, right? So that is how you apply to attend. The dates again are September 21st through the 25th. So apply ASAP. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. It's going to be a fucking blast. Yep. I'm stoked. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yep.
Anything else from you guys? Any closing remarks?
No.
Alles gut?
Alles gut.
Yep.
Alles gut, Diggy.
All good?
All good.
All right. Let's go have a party ourselves. Sweet. All right, captains.
Burgers.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, don't forget, live the captain's lifestyle. Peace.